All right, we're going to talk about the movie Real Genius. It came out in 1985. It's not a perfect movie by any means, but it is a very fun movie, and it is a very interesting movie in how it takes a number of strands from 80s movies and comedic tropes and puts them into this rather interesting and fun little stew. Now, Val Kilmer stars in this movie, and his comedic performance is so high energy. He's running around, he's jumping up and down, he's just spouting quips left and right. This was right after Top Secret, and people forget that Val Kilmer was an excellent physical comedic act. But his character, Chris Knight, follows in the footsteps of the Bill Murray Stripes archetype. You know, the loud and obnoxious male comedic lead who is blunt and aggressive with his one-liners, even when the one-liners aren't terribly funny. Anyway, you've got this kid named Mitch. He's 15 years old. He's played by Gabe Jarrett. He comes to this university to work with Chris Knight, Val Kilmer's character, to perfect a laser. And who is the professor running that particular show? He's played by William Atherton, who you may remember from Ghostbusters and Die Hard. He is actually one of the best asshole character actors of all time, and he is absolutely an asshole in this movie. Now, Real Genius has a lot of these strange sex comedy elements that don't quite work. There are 2 points in this movie where Mitch, 15 years old, is involved in a statutory rape situation, which is really fucking weird. Welcome to problematic 1980s tropes. I know this movie came right after Revenge of the Nerds, and it even cast Michelle Mayrick from Revenge of the Nerds, who plays one of the movie's most interesting characters, Jordan, who is this very high-energy female geek. That really didn't happen so much in the 80s. And it's really a shame that Michelle Mayrick actually retired from acting, because she is excellent in this movie. The movie was directed by Martha Coolidge, and I think that's one of the reasons why you have a rare early presentation, a good faith presentation of a young lady who is an exuberant geek. You did not see that in the 80s. Additionally, the vibe of this movie is fascinating because the dorm where all the kids live, all these science nerds live, it's just constantly messy. There's constant activity going on, and you don't really see that kind of level of energy anymore in these kinds of college movies. There's one early moment in the movie where they turn the entire hallway in the dorm into this ice sheet, and you see all the kids sledding, and you just don't see that kind of level of constant activity. I think a lot of this has to do with the movie following in the footsteps of National Lampoon's Animal House. There were a bunch of loud college movies at the time. But Real Genius has a totally different vibe because this is geeks doing that, not loudmouth frat boys. And unlike other movies, when the geeks in this movie party, they are partying as geeks. They are socially awkward at these parties. They don't really know what they're doing. But they have a lot of this young adult energy, and the movie captures that quite well, I think. And I would argue that this is what makes Real Genius quite special. It is a good faith presentation of geeks who are loud, a little awkward, and just kind of extending their energy into every single corner of the college town they live in. So Real Genius is the rare early movie presentation of geeks that you did not see in 1985 that opened up the floodgates for other people to come along and show good faith presentations of geeks. And again, it's not a perfect movie, but it is a movie that always puts a huge smile on my face. And I think you might like it too, if you like this feature.